What's up, y'all? It's your girl V with Reality Recap here for another Tea Talk session. And today we are discussing the last two episodes of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Before we get into it, let's take care of a little bit of business. Why isn't my banner running across here? But let's take care of some business. With that said, please make sure you like and share this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Reality Recap 2876. Now it's coming across the screen. And follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and what you see right down here in the corner, reality underscore recap for all the trending reality news. I really appreciate you guys bearing with me and my schedule and, keeping up with the podcast. So please make sure you set your alerts as well. Most of you know, if you are following me on social media, my father has been in the hospital. He's doing well. We have one more procedure to get through, and I just thank you guys for all your support, your prayers, your well wishes, and kind words. And again, just bearing with me as my schedule is all over the place right now. But I just had to make sure I get in this week a recap of Salt Lake City. So we'll do a brief recap of last week's episode, and then we'll get into last night's episode in a little bit more detail so that we're all caught up. So let's talk about last week's episode where we had, Lisa and Angie doing girl math. We were still at Lisa's brunch event where she was, claiming her innocence in all of these lawsuits and, saying how she's a star, she's a big mogul, and when big responsibilities come with lawsuits and things like that. So I did say in my last recap I felt like she was being a little bit pretentious, but we pretty much started off that last episode last week still at that brunch where they were doing girl math on how many salons Angie owns. Honestly, whether she owns all her salons or if she's franchising them, she's still getting paid off of that. So I didn't. Angie takes a lot of offense to what Lisa says, and I would honestly just come back with the shade and move on because, again, whether you own 1.5 or if you own all of them or if you're franchising them, they still had to come through you and pay you to franchise. So, what's the big deal, Angie? You still getting paid. So, fuck what everybody got to say. Um, Angie also called out Lisa, which I felt was a little low. And although you're saying, oh, you're not talking about the kids, you're talking about the product, you're still talking about um, Lisa's kids. But Angie went a little low in calling Lisa out for not promoting Jack's Fresh Wolf products that are on her shelves. And she said, basically, you're not promoting that while you're out peddling Kerastase, which Angie feels like that's her business, or she's the one that's been carrying that product. But I don't feel like Lisa went out and asked Kerastase to work with her. In my opinion, it came about from the high body count hair. And Lisa saying to Brittany, like, yeah, you could use a little Kerastase. That's where all of that started from. So I am more than certain or positive without actually having proof that Lisa didn't sought out any partnership brand deal with Kerastase. I'm pretty sure they probably came to her. So I don't get where she's trying to say that, oh, you're peddling that instead of peddling the fresh wolf. Does Lisa promote it? Probably not. Has Jack been out of the country for almost 2 years or so? Yes. So it was a low blow. I didn't like that. And they did seem to like work through it after Heather stepped in to be the voice of reason and telling them like put your swords down and talk like grown women, grown women, don't involve the kids. I thought that they were able to get past it, but clearly not later in the episode, which we'll get to. Wendy Whitney is back on the poles. She put up her stripper pose. She's trying to get back to her fun, flirty self that she feel like she lost after feeling, I guess, guilty that that lifestyle she was living is what led to her husband losing her business. She talked a little bit about that in last night's episode as well, but she's back to putting the pole up, honey, is what we saw in last week's episode. Lisa and Bronwyn sat down and had a chat. Started off good, got a little shaky, in my opinion, where they're going back and forth about who said what about who, and they were able to come to some type of resolve as well at that sit down. So that was good to see. Mary is opening her church back up. And I said, Amen, amen in my notes, but she's opening up her church and she's talking to her cousin and giving an update on Robert Jr. And it really feels like she is supporting him, but realizing that he's a grown man and has to want to make these decisions for himself. So, and, and she's more aware now of what's going on in his life. So she's looking out for those signs of when he has used or, there's a possibility that he's struggling mentally. She's more aware to be able to handle and deal with that. What else did we see in the episode? Then that's when we see Angie doing Heather's hair. And she tells Heather how Lisa sent someone into her salon to pick up the Fresh Wolf products. And I was shocked because, again, I thought they kind of resolved or got back to an amicable place at the brunch. But Lisa sent someone in. I guess she wasn't feeling those comments made, and she sent someone in, which was petty, to pick up the Fresh Wolf products. Apparently, Angie said something like, "Oh, they're just sitting here collecting dust," and or they were downstairs in her like stock room, and sent them back. And after that, also Lisa Venmoed her like $600, saying, "Oh, here's your money for the time spent on, the products spent on your shelf. Let me know if I need to recommend my cleaning people to you as well. Your salon is a bit dusty." Now, we probably wouldn't even have known about that, but Angie didn't know that. She told us the story, but production hadn't put it in the show. But now she's going to get her petty revenge because she feels the need to address that because it's been on camera. Listen, y'all, I like Angie. I do. I like Angie. I like Lisa. I'm not picking sides. I am more team Lisa after the comments about the Fresh Wolf, but it feels like at times the things that Angie does are curated with her team to give her more popularity on this show. The comment of you do French fries, I do franchise. And last night's episode, her bringing this big storage bin of all the bullshit gifts or whatever she ever got from Lisa. I don't know. Sometimes, it feels curated as a persona for us to like her more. And I'm just not falling for all of that. Like her on the show, loves what she brings to the show, but the continuance of letting us know that she's Greek, 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 the one-liners that she makes sure to practice and make sure she has a one-liner in case she's in any kind of heated argument battle with the girls, in this case, Lisa with the French fry franchise. I just don't know if I buy all of that. But again, love what she brings to the show, but it's giving practice at home with an agent. Um just being honest, y'all. So yeah, now we're on to this new storyline of the Freshwood products and the $600 Venmo, as Lisa clearly wasn't over what she said about Jack's products. Whitney goes out with Brittany in last week's episode. I'm concerned. I was already concerned for Brittany and her. I mentioned this last season. Brittany she gives off the perception that she's still young minded, right? She got married very young. She had children very young. And she's trying to relive her like high school, teenage, boy crazy years. And it's coming in between the relationship with her daughters. And it's concerning that someone has to tell her that. And she doesn't recognize that she needs to take a break from the dating life and focus on her daughters. The fact that Whitney has to tell her, hey, maybe take a 30-day break from Jared because all y'all do is break up, get together. He's sliding in everybody DMs, including Mary. She talked about that on Watch What Happens Live. Um, he gets upset when things are said about him on the show and reaches out to the women. Bronwyn experienced that and talked about that in the last reunion. But it's not a healthy relationship. And you guys have all, they already were engaged. The children weren't happy about it. So they broke off the engagement and working towards it again, and they're up and down, and him calling her relentlessly on the phone. It's just real teenage like. And it was just mind baffling to me that she had to be told that by Whitney. Her priorities are not in place or straight. And I get these are older children at this time. Mama got to have a life too, but I don't think 30 days was asking a lot. It probably ain't even enough for you to try to fix things with your daughters before you worried about chasing after men. And it doesn't seem to just be with Jared. That was seemed to be the theme of her marriage that went awry and everything else. But I completely was shocked that Whitney had to tell her that, to be honest. Bronwyn sits down with her mom in the last episode, completely shocked at that conversation, like jaw dropped. I thought Monica's mom was bad. I, this woman has trumped that. It was the theme of the conversation from her mom was really like, you did the best you could, but I'm not really happy with how you turned out as an adult. She is judgmental about Bronwyn having her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend living in their home or, under the same roof, and they're not married. She's a very traditional woman, and I get that. I get that. It's not just Mormon religion that has these strict rules and which they abide by. We see that in Christian homes, all homes, that follow different religions or have their beliefs that are set in their ways from the elders in the family. So it's not something new or shocking. It was more so her mom saying things like, you basically really wouldn't be anything if Todd didn't come along. And it was just very heart-wrenching to see. Now, I do see pages talking really bad about Bronwyn's mother. I'm just not about to do that. At the end of the day, that's still her mom. So bashing her mother and saying how we can't stand her mother, I'm not really about to do that. And we saw that right with the psychic in last night's episode as well, where the psychic is saying like, not well, was it last night or night before? I can't remember my days at this point, but y'all know this week's episode, okay? But yeah, the psychic was telling Bronwyn, you kind of have to meet your mom where you are. She loves you, she supports you, but she has her beliefs, and you kind of have to make peace with that relationship. It's not gonna be what we think it should be or what Bronwyn thinks it should be. I think that her mom is probably extremely grateful for Bronwyn taking her in, although she was being very precise with her soda and wanting ice and all of those things. But that's a mom for you. Excuse me. Whew, hiccup. That's a mom for you. But I definitely it was it was a awkward, hard conversation to watch. But I applaud Bronwyn's transparency. There's a lot of people with parents that have those same like-minded values that probably deal with the same, and her sharing that and sharing her vulnerability of feeling like she never was enough, or that her father, who's struggling with, I believe, Alzheimer's, is kind of stuck right now in a time of when she wasn't doing her best, or when she had got pregnant and didn't finish school, and he's stuck in that era of her life right now and feeling like she doesn't want him to only remember that part of her life. I think it's groundbreaking stuff. Definitely an epic episode, and her vulnerability as well. It also sounded like her mother almost seemed like she would rather Gwen had gone to foster care than Bronwyn take care of her. It was tough. It was tough, you know. But I'm not here to judge or bash anybody's mom. Um, Angie met with Meredith at the end of last week's episode, and I just really want to take a minute to say I love how all of the women film. I love how everyone films. No one is playing the I'm mad at them, so I'm not filming with them or isolating people, because that's when the show starts to piss me off. I think it starts to cause uninterest from the viewer, the ratings go down. But no matter whatever's going on, they all film with each other, right? We see Bronwyn sit down with Lisa, Heather sit down with Bronwyn, Angie meeting with Meredith. They all clock in. And I appreciate that from Real Housewives of Salt Liddy. I said Salt Liddy. Exactly. Salt Lake Liddy is what they should be called. But they really all clock into work. And I really appreciate that. But Angie sits down with Meredith and I'm side-eyeing Angie because she sits down to kind of tell her that, like, oh, when you and Lisa weren't cool, she was encouraging me to dig up dirt on you and your family and something about bankruptcy and shoplifting, and Meredith's not really believing it, which I applaud Meredith for being a loyal friend to Lisa. Like, I'll look into it, but me and you have had some situations where I didn't feel like you were truthful. So why am I just going to come out and believe what you said? Not to mention, I would be side eyeing Angie because when you were friends with her, which I agreed, Mary said that in last night's episode too. When you were friends with her, you were cool with it. So now you're trying to tell on her, but in the moment, it's not like you probably spoke up for Meredith and said that's not the right thing to do. So is that your MO? Like when you're no longer friends with someone, you start telling shit? That don't make Angie look as good as she may think that it does. It makes Meredith as well as me side-eyed you. Like, you were going along with it when you were friends with her. Now you're trying to throw her under the bus. I don't see Lisa doing that and going around and saying, well, when we were cool, Angie was saying this, that, and the third about you. Like, I don't see that happening. So I don't know. I just don't like that. Now, in yesterday's episode, Whitney had a spring party. Again, another nod to this production. I just love this production. Everything is so unique where we and I've mentioned this before, we have a trip, the first episode, everybody films. We go to an event at the start of an episode, not at the end of an episode. We spend a whole episode at Whitney's little like spring event that was complete chaos. And I just love it. It's just reality TV gold, top tier. Whoever is producing Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, bravo to you. Bravo to you. It's so top tier and innovative and out of the box. And I just really, really appreciate that about Salt Lake Liddy, because that's the new name. It's Salt Lake Liddy. But yeah, let's get into the episode. Whitney's having this spring party. Um, we see Angie come in with the storage bin. We see Lisa coming in with an envelope, and you already know this is about to be some shit, and I'm here for it for real. Like, seriously. So as soon as I saw the bin, I was like, strap in, bitches. It's about to go down. Um, Whitney is really pushing her transparency posts. I mean, not posts, but pushing her transparency narrative this season. And I keep saying just because Lisa's getting sued doesn't mean that there's not lawsuits coming for Whitney. And it doesn't feel genuine to me. It feels more so like Whitney came forward and being transparent after Brittany clocked her on the RV because it was like, all right, let me get ahead of this. Let me speak on it before others bring up. Because just because it ain't been in the Salt Lake City Times, there are a lot of people on TikTok saying that Whitney scammed them out of money, allegedly. They're saying that they paid for products. They were like she was setting up to be damn near MLM, like they're saying, and her husband was the president of it. That's fishy business, if you ask me. But she was almost trying to be like a Avon where you buy products up front and you sell them, and the bigger your team is selling them, the more you can make back. That didn't come to fruition. People paid for these products up front and didn't receive their money back, allegedly. That's what they're saying on TikTok. That's what they're saying to Us Weekly and Page Six and everywhere else they're doing interviews. They're saying that she was supposed to have a 3-day like wellness event because she tied two businesses together, some type of wellness LLC, along with Wild Rose Beauty. And she was supposed to have like a 3-day event where people came and they were supposed to learn about the products and how to market it and get exclusive information on upcoming products. that continued to be postponed, while these people had already paid for airfare and hotel accommodations. And they had to keep changing it and changing it months and months and months until finally it was canceled. And they didn't receive any reimbursement for that or the products, allegedly. So the transparency, in my opinion, is more so to get ahead of the narrative, to gain a vote of sympathy. And it just ain't working on me. Let's see that unfold. Like Lisa said, how are you unraveling your business? How are you untying your business and your issues that you had? That's all I'm saying. Okay? But, I get she's letting us know how she's trying to get back to herself and losing everything, and Justin losing his job because of her body painting with him on national TV and all of that stuff. I don't know, guys. I'm just not buying it. And I'm waiting for more to unfold after this season or during this season. Just being honest. Um, but at her spring fling type party, she also flew in a spirit intuitive, which seems to be a very fancy term for psychic. Um, they all get together, they're at the table. Angie talks about wanting to move more into the countryside feel and less of her modern home. And Brittany gets mad because she's not the realtor. I love Brittany. Besides her nonsense and boy craziness that she just doesn't seem to grasp, she also always interjects and make it about her at the wrong times, but it's the right time. You get me? So she's upset that Angie's not her realtor. Angie didn't come to her to as a realtor to be a realtor on the property because apparently her home is listed. And Brittany's shady ass pulls it up. She's getting really shady and clocking the tea this season. I told you guys I'm here for it. But she picks up her phone like, oh, it's been listed for 200 days. So you had a price reduction? Seems overpriced to begin with. Angie gets defensive and she's like, you know nothing about real estate in my area. My God, my daughter's godmother is my realtor. You wouldn't know anything about a home priced at 2 point or 4 point whatever $1 million. And Brittany said, excuse me, don't insult me. This is my business. This is what I do. Right. You don't want nobody tearing down your salon and saying that it's dusty, since she's been pushing that online, letting us know that her salon ain't dusty. And the whole French fry franchise thing where Wendy's came in and said, I'm canceling my appointment at your 1.5 owned hair salons. Honey, I cried. The internet is a shady place. And Wendy's stepped in because y'all know Lisa Barlow is Wendy. They don't play about her, okay, with their cute little commercials. So, but yeah, she said, don't insult my business. And it has been listed for 200 days or more. So Brittany had a point. You might want to try her, see what she could do. She's on the show. She may have connections. Hell, she might buy it with Jared and move in. Who knows? But I just thought that it was hilarious. I really did. And in the middle of arguing with Angie, Jared is calling after she just said she was going to go on a 30-day break, or Whitney encouraged her to go on a break and fix things with her daughters, and she's like, we got back together. Some people just got to get it on their own, and you can't make them or force them to get it. Okay, they're not going to get it. So in the middle of arguing, she's like, oh my God, he's calling me. He's called like 10 times. He's texting me. We're back together. Another announcement, child. I love Brittany. Like, she is just reality TV go. I can't. This is such a great casting. Their Us Weekly pictures came out where they gave homage to Desperate Housewives, and we got to, an interview of each housewife. Great article, great pictures. You guys check that out if you haven't. But yeah. So while she's getting things squared away with Jared on text message, Meredith confronts Lisa about Angie telling her that Lisa, encouraged her to dig up dirt. And Lisa was like, not true, never happened. And she said, I don't even know where this is coming from. She looks over at Angie and said, oh, it looked like the devil know where it's coming from. She's sitting over there with her little face. Why does Angie keep telling everybody that their face is tight or they face is pulled back to their ears like hers not? Why is she doing that? Cause she could barely get that cry out last night, trying to squeeze out them tears. All y'all faces pulled back. And Lisa said, I don't have a facelift, but I got 12 threads. Hello. How about that? So I just don't know why she keeps doing that when her face is just as tight as everybody else's. Okay. But Meredith confronts Lisa. That starts this whole big argument war between Lisa and Angie that literally lasted the entire episode. I absolutely believe Angie. I do. I absolutely do believe that Lisa may have said when they were being shady girlfriends, because what housewife doesn't dig up on a housewife that they beefing with to have receipts for filming and for a reunion? Is it possible that Lisa did tell Angie that? Absolutely. But again, I side eye Angie for telling that if you're in a bad spot with Lisa, or you're acting like your hands are clean, or like you had some moral compass during that conversation, allegedly, if it happened, of let's not do that to Meredith. You was going right along with it. So now that you ain't cool, you want to bring it up and try to turn people against Lisa. That don't look good to me. It don't. So for that reason, I am Team Lisa for bringing up Fresh Wolf in the manner that she did when it's her kids' line, whether she's promoting or not. I don't like that. I don't. So for those reasons, I am still Team Lisa. That doesn't mean I hate Angie because I don't get involved in that type of foolishness. That's that weird shit I see other people doing. But I am Team Lisa in this scenario. I really am. Um, Bronwyn is in there getting her reading, and she's getting devastating news about her mom maybe, having some type of illness that she may not fully recover from, and to check on her on top of her knowing that her father isn't doing well. She's crying. She comes back to the table crying. Nobody's paying any attention. Angie's throwing Amexes across the table because Lisa is saying that she heard that she went on a trip to Greece and had to and use somebody else's credit card and had to pay it back. So what? If she did use someone else's Amex and she paid it back, and something about a soup man, and they're asking Lisa in her confessional, like, who's the soup man? And she's saying, oh, you need to ask somebody else about that. I forget the name she said, but she said you need to ask someone else about that. So just throwing out shit as they both do, you know, um, listening to the stuff that's not facts yet in a lawsuit, and her coming back and talking about she messing with the soup man. There probably are some soup men. It's cold in Utah. So I could definitely see where there could be some soup men around, but I don't know what that got to do with anything. So she's throwing Amexes on the table while Bronwyn is sitting there crying. Finally, Meredith is saying, y'all chill out for a second. The woman is crying. Let's see what's going on with her. Bronwyn tells them what she learned from the psychic and how she really wants them to fix things and not talk about family and friends because life is too short. Clearly, they back off for 2 seconds and go right back to arguing. It's amazing. These women are fucking amazing. Okay. I love them. I really, really do. Like Lisa literally said, oh, sorry to hear that. And they got right back into the whole Amex of it all and throwing shit around on the table. It was just a mess, y'all, but a good mess. I enjoyed this episode. I really, really did. They yelling insults. What else is going on? Angie talks about using, they talk about the credit card and the soup. What else do I have in my notes? Lisa gets emotional in her reading. She goes for her reading and she gets emotional because the psychic brings up, there seems to be some miscommunication or disconnection between her and John. And she talks a little bit about it. She doesn't tell much about it when she gets out of there with the women, but she talks about her and John are disconnected. They have different views on, Jack coming home or wanting an apartment and things like that. And she doesn't want him to leave. And they're just not on the same page as there, but she still loves him. It doesn't seem like there's any infidelity or foolishness like that. But they're just marriage is hard. They're at a disconnect. They're at a crossroads right now. And she was emotional about that. But I have to ask you guys, why is the psychic asking so many questions? Isn't this stuff he should know? And it's honestly most of the stuff he was telling the women, we could have got a crystal ball and told them that because we watched the show. But he's asking, okay, I see a Scorpio sign. Who's that? Shouldn't you know? He's asking who's sick right now, or who rides horses. I see a injury on the horse. So like, shouldn't you know this stuff? I don't know. I don't know how believable he was to be flown across the country, honey, to tell them stuff that we already knew and could have told them. Like, especially with Brittany. Why did Brittany even go in there? Because Lord, we all could tell you to spend more time with your daughter. We all know that. And Brittany sitting up there talking about something. He's telling me stuff that no one else would know. No one else would know these things. Girl, we all know that. Brittany, stop it. I mean, the only shocking news, that revelation that seemed to come out was that for Angie, that she got a sunglass line on the way. Shocker. We knew something was coming, whether it be a hair product line or some sunglasses, because she always wearing them big ass sunglasses. We knew something was coming, girl. That ain't rocket science. So I don't know how well this psychic did, but I just had to ask y'all: is it just me? Because he was asking a lot of questions and shit. I felt like he should have known. Just saying. But Mary and Heather feel the way I do. I talked about that where they're saying to Angie while Lisa's in there, like, yo, you was cool with it when you was friends with her, and now you not because y'all at odds, and you want me to be mad at Lisa because you mad at Lisa, and I ain't about to do that. I'm not a little ass kid. Mary ain't gonna be dragged into nothing she don't want to be dragged into. So she was honest with her friend, and I appreciated that. Um, Angie gets her reading, and we talk about the sunglasses venture. We talked about that. Lisa and Angie, man, they just can't stop with the back and forth. They're yelling. Everybody's at the table. Please stop. Just both apologize. You both said bad things. And Angie is more so holding on to feeling like, well, y'all want me to kiss the ring when she's being rude to me. Lisa saying, well, you're the one that started it with the Fresh Wolf comments, blah, blah, blah. But it goes beyond that. They both stay throwing shade. But it's nothing that's being said, in my opinion, outside of saying something about Jack's products that is not unresolvable. Ain't nobody slept with nobody's husband. Ain't nobody, but if they could just apologize for this dumb shit that they going back and forth over, we could just move on. But did it make for a great episode? Absolutely. So Angie, she whips out this bin, and it has a horse and all these gifts that Lisa gave her. She's saying like, "Well, you came and took your Fresh Wolf stuff back, so I'm bringing you back everything that you gave me." It was very, very prop floppish. It didn't land well, if you ask me. It did not land well. It was ridiculous, but in a good way. It was just petty. It's petty. Whitney's in there crying to the psychic about how she's resentful to Justin, didn't feel like he was supportive of her business. She can't talk to him about her feelings. They lost all their money and it's a lot of tension. She in there crying while people walking back and forth, leaving the party. Lisa's leaving the party. Mary's leaving the party. Everybody's walking in and walking out, yelling while she's getting her feelings off her chest. And again, Angie's feeling like everybody wants her to kiss Lisa's ring, and nobody seemed to be saying that. It was just saying mutually, y'all need to apologize. And then Mary was telling her, really, like, it's not that deep. We know you better than the nonsense about this soup man and all of that. We know you. So why would we believe those things? And nobody else is going to believe it without proof. I need receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots for me to believe any of this nonsense. And that goes for Lisa's lawsuits as well as this soup man nonsense. Nobody believes that Angie's salon is dusty. That's not going to hurt her business. Everybody's still going. It's probably you and only the girl from Secret Lives of Mormon Lives out there doing hair. Anyway, y'all in the middle of no damn where. So I don't see how that would hurt the business. But overall, it just seemed like Mary was telling her, like, you don't need to be proving yourself, throwing your Amex cards everywhere. Like, pick up your stuff. Stop doing this petty stuff, like bringing this Tupperware bin of gifts, and let's move on with it. Like, you bigger than this. But Angie was saying how like she's not gonna let Lisa get away with this stuff just because everybody else decides to go back to being friends with Lisa. And she points out Heather, and she points out Meredith, and she points out Mary. And that's what Mary's saying. Like, I'm not gonna stop being friends with her just because you mad with her. And she gets upset with Angie, and she's like, I'm done with you. And she gets ready to walk out, and Angie's just saying bye, bye. And I love Angie and Mary's friendship. I do, just looking at the pictures on Us Weekly, it looks like they worked through it, but it's definitely going to be an uphill battle. Y'all know when Mary get mad, she get mad, child. But she ends up walking out through Whitney's psychic reading as well. And, and she's just saying, like, Angie's sitting at the table, she's crying, she's throwing stuff, breaking the horse. I guess that's the injury the psychic was talking about. That's what Mary said, the leg injury or whatever, to the plastic horse, maybe not her real horse that she does competitions with. But it was just overall a great episode. We'll see where Angie and Mary go from here. I'm sure they're going to have a one-on-one. We'll see where things go with Lisa and Angie. Can they come to some resolve? How do things go with Meredith and Lisa after this news is coming out of she was trying to dig out things? Will their friendship stay strong? Where does this leave Lisa and Bronwyn? That's what I'm saying. Like, y'all know I said this last season, the season before that, all burners are on. It's always multiple issues going on between the ladies. Everybody's filming, everybody's clocked in. Brittany bringing the comedic relief with her foolishness and her shade. I love it. I just love it, y'all. And if you're not watching, shame on you. Start watching immediately. All right. But those are my thoughts on the last two episodes of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Consider yourself downloaded and updated. Now, before I get out of here, please make sure again you like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's coming across the screen. Reality Recap 2876. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, reality_recap for all the trending reality news. And as I always say, reality TV stars are humans too. Let's not forget that. It's your girl, Via Reality Recap. I'll be back with more recaps. Set your alerts. Peace.